4 things that have been removed from Star Wars Battlefront 2. This is very similar to a video I made a few weeks ago talking about 4 things that are banned from Star Wars Battlefront 2. And as I said in that video, I really wanted to make a sequel, but there's just nothing really to talk about that is banned. Like I said in that video, I could have stated the obvious, like pink Darth Vader for example, but I just didn't see the point in doing that. But the topic that also came to my mind a few weeks ago when I made that one was features that have been removed, and I've got 4 here today. There are also quite a few others that I'm currently researching as I'm making this video as well. Maybe for a part 2, any that you guys know about as well, feel free to let me know in the comments section. But I've got 4 features here today, 4 pieces of content that have been removed, and we're just going to get right into them. And the first one actually relates to my last video talking about voice lines from Battlefront 2, because there's a lot of voice lines that haven't been included in Star Wars Battlefront 2 but are in the game's files. There was one, however, that you will have heard in that last video if you watched the whole way through, and this one was actually in Battlefront 2's game at launch but has since been removed. And I have no specific date of when this was removed. I've tried to look around. A lot of new players wouldn't have even known that this was in the game. They would have just thought it was in the game's files, but this is the Ventress related line. We'll play that right now.
Did you know a woman named Ventress?
No.
Now the funny thing about this is when this was originally in Star Wars Battlefront 2 at launch, Bosk said, do you know a woman named Ventress? But the Vader reply of no wasn't in the game, so maybe it was a mistake for this to get into the game somehow. However, it was in there for a while, let's say. I'd say at least 6 months after the game's launch, and then maybe it disappeared. It could have been later than that. But this one for me, I don't want to read too much into it, but at the same time we know Ventress is canon. I'm a big Ventress fan myself. I loved her in the Clone Wars, so we know that it's nothing to do with Ventress not being in the Star Wars canon, because she is. Maybe it's just the devs' way of thinking. Players could see this as a tease towards Ventress coming to the game, and they maybe want to stay away as far as possible from any type of controversy coming up about that line. That's the only reason I could think of for this one. I really don't know, but it's unfortunate because it was nice to have some sort of reference to Ventress in Battlefront 2. Moving on to the next one, the First Order Jet Trooper. Now there was so much controversy with this back when The Rise of Skywalker released. You all know the "they fly now" meme and everything like that. But in canon, the First Order Jet Troopers had appeared before Episode 9. Granted, this was in comics, but the comics still fall under the Star Wars canon, and they appeared just how they did in Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'll put a little comparison on screen right now. If you look, there's the comic book version, there's the Battlefront 2 version. Now, I'm not here to moan to you about how that line is completely stupid in Star Wars, because I think we all know that. The problem here, and it does kind of lead on to another point, but the problem here is that they added the new Jet Trooper from Episode 9, that's absolutely fine, but they then removed the old one completely from the game, so it's not an alternate skin or anything like that. And this one eludes me because if you look at the Imperial Jump Trooper now, that skin was inaccurate for a long time. It just didn't add up to how it looked in Star Wars Rebels, and they eventually changed that, which fair play to EA and DICE. But they kept the inaccurate one as an alternate appearance in the game, despite that old one being completely inaccurate, like I said, never been seen in Star Wars looking like that, yet they kept it in the game. But this First Order Jump Trooper has actually appeared in the Star Wars canon. Like I said, it was in comic books, and they completely removed it, not even an alternate skin. This one is really weird to me, and I could potentially see it being brought back into the game, but then again, it might not. It's not a big thing, but it'd be nice to see it back in there, I suppose. And staying with the theme of Jet Troopers, Jetpack Cargo, the limited time game mode, a lot like Ewok Hunt originally was, a limited time game mode where each team would have to retrieve the cargo from one side of the map and deliver it all the way to the other side. If you played Battlefront 1, it's exactly the same as cargo in that game, except this time it's only with jet/jump troopers. And this started off on Mos Eisley. It was in the game's files pretty much since launch, and then was added in February of 2018. And then obviously got added with Mos Eisley. then was added to Bespin, and eventually Yavin 4, which didn't last long because then the game mode was removed, and we haven't seen this in the game now since late 2018, so it's most likely never coming back. A lot of the new players don't even know it exists. Now I admit I didn't like the mode too much personally. I know a lot of people that did like it, I also know a lot that didn't, but it's just weird how it disappeared and it's never been spoken of again. And I think this is just something where EA and DICE know themselves that they didn't put as much effort into this as they probably could have, and then again it might have just been a pointless mode. And it's kind of how they steer away from Galactic Assault these days, because that's how the game was at launch with the controversy, and I think the same with this. This game mode reminds them of the old days, and maybe that's why they don't want to touch it, but who knows, I could be completely wrong there. Maybe they just realised that it wasn't the best of modes, and I know that is all down to opinions, but I think a lot of people just wasn't happy with this, especially at the expense of what this came over at the time. But finally, the holographic menu. Now this is something that was pretty much the promotion of Battlefront 2, and it could come down to the fact, just like with Jetpack Cargo, that maybe they're trying to avoid those early days of when the game fell under all that controversy. But the game's menu completely looks different. At one point the spawn screen looks different. This was all at launch and it was like this until May of 2018. Now I was a big fan of the holographic look, and I can't deny that the new non-holographic look is a million times better. I love it. But at the time I do recall Ben Walker, our community manager, saying that there would be a toggle feature to turn it on or off, which I think would have worked better, because although the new look is superior, the holographic look, in my opinion, I quite liked it. I could see why someone wouldn't, but I did like it, and I definitely feel it's fair to have them both in. I'd love to see it back, I really would, especially with what we've since had. As it was removed, now we've had like heroes, reinforcements. I'd love to see them with the holographic theme. Maybe someone could make a mod of that. I'm surprised it's not been done yet myself. But the holographic theme, I miss it being a day one player. I just so love to see it back in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Get that toggle feature in there definitely. But thank you for watching, guys. 4 things that have been removed from Star Wars Battlefront 2. Like I said at the start, let me know any that I may have missed. And I am investigating a few others as we speak before I make actual videos on them. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I shall see you all next time.